You're about to discover a secret that almost no man on this planet understands. In fact, it's so rare that most men will go through their entire lives without ever realizing it. And that's why they struggle in conversations with women, why they get ignored, why she loses interest after a few minutes, and why she never texts back. But you're here. And by the time you finish this video, you'll know exactly how to flip the script and make her chase you, simply by speaking less and saying more. I know that might sound strange at first. After all, everyone tells you to be more talkative, to keep the conversation flowing, to never let there be an awkward pause. But what if I told you that the very thing you think is helping you is actually destroying your chances with women? Here's the truth. The more you say, the less powerful your words become. Imagine two men. The first man talks endlessly. He explains himself in detail, tries to convince her that he's interesting, and fills every second with words. At first, she might smile politely, but deep down she's thinking, this guy needs me to like him. He's trying too hard. He's not the prize. He's the one begging for approval. Now imagine the second man. He speaks slowly. He gives short, confident answers. He lets silence hang in the air without panicking. When she asks about him, he doesn't explain everything. He gives her just enough to spark curiosity. Suddenly, she's leaning in, asking follow-up questions, trying to peel back the layers of his personality. She doesn't even realize it, but she's already chasing him. That's the secret. Women don't chase men who over-explain. They chase men who leave them curious. And that's what I'm going to teach you in this video. How to master the art of speaking less, but saying more, so that your words sink deeper, your presence feels stronger, and she finds herself replaying the conversation in her mind hours later. Before we get into the step-by-step techniques, I want you to remember this. Attraction isn't about impressing her with endless stories, facts, or achievements. Attraction is about leaving space for her imagination to run wild, space for her emotions to grow, space for her to wonder, who is this guy really? That's why I say this is a rare secret, because almost every man does the exact opposite. They spill everything. They talk about their job, their hobbies, their childhood, their future plans, their opinions, until there's nothing left to discover. And once there's nothing left to discover, the game is already over. But you're not going to make that mistake. You're going to learn how to use silence, how to use mystery, and how to use the right words at the right time to flip the balance of power in any conversation. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to keep her leaning forward, laughing, curious, and hooked, without saying more than a few carefully chosen words. So let's begin. Okay, let's be brutally honest for a second. Most men fail with women not because they're unattractive, not because they're broke, and not even because they don't know the perfect pickup line. They fail because of this one simple mistake. They talk too much. Think about it. You see a beautiful woman, and your brain immediately goes into overdrive. You start thinking, what should I say to impress her? Should I tell her about my job? Should I talk about my hobbies? Maybe if I keep the conversation going, she'll like me. And so you start spilling everything. You tell her your life story, you explain your opinions in detail, you jump from one topic to another, and all the while, she's smiling politely, but quietly losing interest. Why? Because every extra word you add is secretly lowering your value. Here's what most guys don't realize. The person who talks the most is the person who needs approval the most. Think about a job interview. Who does the talking? The candidate. Why? Because he's the one who needs the job. The interviewer barely speaks. She just asks a few questions and watches how he reacts. She's the one in control. Now flip that back to dating. When you're doing all the talking, you're positioning yourself as the candidate begging for approval. She becomes the interviewer and you've already lost the frame. This is why so many men end up chasing women who never text back, women who ghost them, or women who keep them in the friend zone. They've shown, without realizing it, that they're the ones who need something from her. And women are biologically programmed to lose attraction for men who give away all their power. Let me give you an example. Picture two scenarios. In the first, a man meets a woman and instantly starts explaining everything about himself. I'm an engineer, I've been working at my company for 5 years, I just got promoted, I really like hiking, I'm also into photography, and I love dogs. She nods, she smiles, but deep down, she's already filed him away as just another guy. Why? Because she knows everything there is to know about him within 5 minutes. No mystery, no chase, nothing to discover. Now imagine the second scenario. She asks, "So, what do you do?" And he replies with a smile, "Something that keeps me busy, but way too boring to talk about." "Tell me about you." Suddenly her curiosity lights up. Who is this guy? Why isn't he trying to impress me? Why doesn't he feel the need to explain himself? And before she knows it, she's leaning in, asking him more questions, trying to figure him out. Do you see the difference? One man talks himself out of attraction. The other man speaks less, but creates more. And this is the trap most men fall into. They confuse talking with connecting. They confuse impressing with attracting. But women don't chase words. They chase feelings. And the feeling they chase the most? Mystery. In the next chapter, I'm going to show you exactly how to flip your mindset and adopt the one belief that will make silence your greatest weapon in attraction. Now that you understand why most men fail, it's time to flip your perspective. Because here's the truth. When it comes to attraction, silence isn't awkward. Silence is power. Think about this. In almost every social situation, the person who talks the most is the one fighting for attention. But the person who can remain calm, composed, and comfortable in silence, that's the person everyone respects. And women feel this even more strongly. When you're talking to a woman, she's not only listening to your words, she's scanning your entire vibe. Her subconscious mind, that radar we talked about earlier, is looking for signals of strength, confidence, and self-worth. And one of the strongest signals you can send is this: I don't need to impress you with words. I'm comfortable being me. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been around someone so confident that they didn't need to say much at all, yet everyone paid attention to them? Maybe it was a leader at work, a popular guy at a party, or someone with natural charisma. When they spoke, people leaned in. When they paused, the silence felt heavy, almost magnetic. That's exactly the energy you want to project with women. Because here's the paradox. The less you try to fill the silence, the more powerful your presence becomes. From now on, I want you to remember this rule. If she's talking more than you are, you're winning. Why? Because when she's talking, she's investing. She's opening up, revealing herself, trying to get your reaction. And every second she's doing that, her radar is picking up signals that you're the prize because you're not scrambling to win her approval. Now here's the shift you need to make. Stop seeing silence as an enemy. Most guys panic when there's a pause in conversation. They feel uncomfortable, so they rush to fill it with nervous chatter. But the man who can stay quiet, smile, hold eye contact, and simply be, that man radiates confidence, and women can't resist it. It's like this. When you're watching a movie, the most powerful moments often aren't when the characters are shouting or explaining everything. The most powerful moments are when the camera lingers in silence, when the tension builds, when you're hanging on to what might happen next. That's exactly how silence works in your conversations. It creates tension, and tension creates attraction. So here's your mindset from now on. Every word you speak should matter. Speak less. Let her do the work. Allow the pauses to breathe, and remember, mystery is more powerful than information, because when she doesn't know everything about you, her imagination takes over, and her imagination is 10 times more powerful than anything you could ever say. In the next chapter, I'm going to give you your first practical tool to put this mindset into action. It's called the mystery reply, and once you learn it, you'll never answer her questions the same way again. Now that you understand silence is power, let's talk about one of the most effective ways to speak less and say more, the mystery reply. What is a mystery reply? It's when you deliberately give just enough of an answer to spark her curiosity, but not enough to satisfy it. Most men, when asked a question, think their job is to provide as much detail as possible. She asks where you work, and he gives her his job title, company name, hours, career goals, and maybe even his salary. She asks what he's doing this weekend, and he lays out his entire schedule from Friday night to Sunday afternoon. He thinks he's building connection, but what he's really doing is killing mystery. And without mystery, there is no attraction. A mystery reply flips that dynamic completely. Instead of explaining, you tease. Instead of handing her the answer, you give her just a glimpse, something that makes her lean in, ask more, and wonder about you long after the conversation ends. Let me give you some examples. She asks, "So, where do you work?" You say, "At a place that would put you to sleep if I explained it. Let's talk about something fun instead." Or, she asks, "What are you doing this weekend?" You smile and reply, "Something exciting, but you'll have to wait and see." Do you notice what's happening here? Instead of trying to impress her, you're creating curiosity. Instead of flooding her with information, you're planting a question in her mind, and that question grows into attraction because she can't stop wondering what you meant. Here's another example. Her, "Have you ever been in love?" You, "Maybe, but you'll have to earn that story." Her, "What's your favorite thing to do on weekends?" You, "It depends who I'm with." Every time you answer like this, you're forcing her to invest more energy into the interaction. She's now the one chasing. She's the one trying to figure you out, and that's exactly where you want her. Remember this, mystery is magnetic. Think of your favorite TV series. Why do you binge watch episode after episode? Because each one ends with a cliffhanger. It leaves you wanting more. That's exactly how you need to think about your conversations with women. Each answer is a mini cliffhanger. Each reply is a teaser trailer for the full story she hasn't unlocked yet. Here's the mindset shift you need. When she asks you a question, don't think, "How can I explain myself?" Instead, think, "How can I make her curious?" That's the difference between being the guy she forgets after 5 minutes and the guy she can't get out of her head. In the next chapter, I'm going to show you another powerful tactic called flipping the script, a way to turn her questions back on her so she does most of the talking while you stay in control. Now that you know how to use mystery replies, let's take it one step further with a technique I call flipping the script. Here's the truth. In most conversations with women, guys automatically take the role of the entertainer. They answer every question, they provide all the stories, and they do all the heavy lifting. Meanwhile, she just sits back, nods, and decides whether she likes him or not. That's a losing game. Because when you're doing all the talking, you're signaling that you're the one seeking approval. You're saying, without realizing it, "Please like me." But when you flip the script, everything changes. Instead of answering her directly, you redirect the spotlight back onto her. You make her do the talking, you make her invest in the interaction, and most importantly, you show that you're not desperate to prove yourself. Let me give you some examples. She asks, "So, have you ever been in love?" Most guys would launch into a long explanation about their past relationships. You smile and say, "Maybe. But I'm curious, what does love mean to you?" She asks, "What do you do for fun?" Instead of listing your hobbies for the next 3 minutes, you lean back and say, "That depends. What's your idea of fun?" Do you see what's happening here? Instead of feeding her answers, you're flipping the question back at her. Now she's the one doing the explaining. She's the one investing energy. And without realizing it, she's chasing your approval. Here's why this works. The more someone talks about themselves, the more emotionally invested they become in the conversation. If she's revealing her thoughts, her past, her opinions, she's investing in you. And people don't like to invest in something and then walk away from it. That's why this technique is so powerful. It keeps her hooked without you saying much at all. Another subtle trick here is to mix your flip with a little playful tease. For example, her, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" You, "Good question, but let's start smaller. Where do you see yourself in 5 months?" Her, "What kind of girls do you like?" You, "I'll tell you in a minute. But first, I want to hear what kind of guys you like. Let's see if I even qualify." Now you've made it fun, playful, and you've kept her investing in the interaction. Here's the mindset to adopt. Every question she asks you is an opportunity, not an opportunity to explain yourself, but an opportunity to flip it back and make her do the work. When you master this, conversations stop feeling like interviews and start feeling like a dance where she's trying to keep up with you. And in the next chapter, we're going to unlock the third technique, one that requires no words at all, yet can be more powerful than anything you say. It's called the silent pause. We've covered how to use mystery replies. We've covered how to flip the script, but now it's time for one of the most powerful attraction triggers of all. And it doesn't require you to say anything at all. It's called the silent pause. Most men absolutely hate silence. The second there's a gap in the conversation, they panic. They rush to fill it with words, with explanations, with jokes, anything to make the moment feel less awkward. But here's the thing, women don't see silence the way men do. To them, silence is tension, and tension, when handled correctly, is attraction. Think about it. When two people are talking and one person is nervous, they're the one who fidgets, laughs nervously, and keeps the conversation alive at all costs. But the person who's calm, relaxed, and comfortable with silence, that's the person in control. When you can let a pause hang in the air, when you can look her in the eyes, smile, and say nothing, you're sending a signal stronger than any words. I don't need your approval. I'm already enough. That's the essence of high value. Here's an example. She asks you a question. Instead of immediately answering, you just smile, tilt your head slightly, and pause for 2 or 3 seconds before replying. That pause makes her lean in. It makes her wonder what you're thinking. And when you finally speak, your words hit harder because she's been waiting for them. Or imagine this. She makes a playful jab at you. Maybe she says, "You're kind of cocky, aren't you?" Most guys would instantly defend themselves or explain why they're not. But you just hold eye contact, raise an eyebrow, and let the silence do the talking. Suddenly, she's the one breaking, filling the space, chasing your reaction. That's the silent pause at work. And here's the science behind it. The human brain hates unanswered questions. When you create a gap, the brain rushes to fill it. So when you leave silence in a conversation, she starts working harder to figure you out. She invests more, she chases more, and she feels more drawn to you. But here's the key, you have to be comfortable with it. If you look nervous during the silence, it backfires. But if you look calm, relaxed, and even slightly amused, the silence becomes magnetic. So from now on, I want you to practice this. Next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to jump in right away. Let there be a beat of silence. Own it. Control it. Because that pause will do more to spark attraction than 100 clever lines ever could. Mystery replies make her curious. Flipping the script makes her invest. But the silent pause, that's what makes her feel your presence. And in the next chapter, I'll show you how to tie all of these together with a simple conversation formula so you'll always know exactly how much to say and when to hold back. Now that you've learned how to use mystery replies, how to flip the script, and how to master the silent pause, it's time to give you a simple formula that will guide every conversation you have with women. I call it the 50-30-20 rule. Here's how it works. 50% of the conversation should be about her. 30% should be about the world around you, the environment, random observations, playful banter. 20% should be about you. That's it. Simple, clear, and insanely effective. So why does this formula work? Because it flips the usual dynamic on its head. Most men talk 80% about themselves and 20% about her. And when you do that, you're showing her that you're the one seeking validation. You're auditioning for her approval. But when you spend 50% of the time making the conversation about her, her thoughts, her experiences, her dreams, you're putting her in the spotlight. And women love the spotlight. She feels important, she feels seen, and most importantly, she feels connected. Now let's break it down. 50% about her. This is where you ask thoughtful questions that get her talking about herself. But here's the trick. You're not interrogating her. You're listening like a therapist. Instead of firing question after question, you follow up on what she says with genuine curiosity. She says she loves traveling. Ask her about the best trip she's ever been on. She says she's into music. Ask her about the first concert she ever went to. These aren't boring questions. They're doorways into her personality. And remember, when she talks about herself, she's investing. She's building an emotional connection with you without even realizing it. 30% about the environment. This is where you keep things light and spontaneous. Talk about the music playing in the background, a funny thing you noticed, or something random that pops into your head. This keeps the vibe playful and prevents the conversation from feeling like an interview. Imagine you're talking to a close friend you've known for years. You'd make silly observations, laugh at random things, and just flow. That's the energy you want here. 20% about you. This is where most guys go wrong. They think they need to prove themselves by talking endlessly about their achievements, their goals, their stories. But here's the golden rule. Talk less, reveal less, and make fun of yourself. When you talk about yourself, sprinkle in humor. Tell stories that make you look human, not perfect. And most importantly, keep an element of mystery. If she asks where you work, don't give her the entire resume. Tease her, give her half an answer, make her want to know more. By following the 50-30-20 rule, you'll automatically avoid the trap of oversharing. You'll keep the conversation balanced, playful, and, most importantly, attractive. Because here's the secret. The man who talks less, but makes every word count, is the man she can't stop thinking about. And in the next chapter, I'll show you how to lock this in with engagement tricks that keep her invested. Not just in the conversation, but in you. By now, you've discovered some of the most powerful techniques to flip the script in any conversation. Mystery replies, flipping the script, the silent pause, and the 50-30-20 formula. If you apply even one of these tonight, you'll notice a massive difference in the way women respond to you. But before we dive into the final part of this series, I want to pause for just a second and ask you for something important. If you've gotten value from this video, and I know you have, hit the like button right now. Let's set a goal. If this video reaches 5,000 likes, I'll release an advanced episode where I reveal the hidden tests women use to figure out if you're the real deal. These are the moments that can make or break attraction, and most men fail them without even realizing it. But if we hit the goal, I'll show you exactly how to pass every single one of them. So hit like, drop a quick comment, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe with notifications turned on. That way you won't miss the next episode when it drops. Now, here's something even better. If you've made it this far, I know you're serious about mastering this. And because you're one of the few guys who actually takes action, I've put together a free guide that contains some of my most powerful, nearly forbidden psychological techniques. These are the kinds of tools that can make a woman feel a magnetic pull toward you, no matter your age, your looks, or even your social status. These techniques are not about manipulation. They're about understanding how attraction works on a deep, subconscious level and learning how to naturally trigger it in the women you talk to. Inside this guide, you'll find things I don't have time to explain in the video, like the scarcity switch that makes her fight for your attention, a conversational pattern that instantly sparks playful tension, and the simple shift in body language that makes you appear effortlessly high value. It's short, it's practical, and best of all, it's free. You'll find the link in the description below. Grab it before it disappears, because I might not keep it available forever. Remember, watching these videos is just the beginning. Real transformation happens when you apply what you've learned. That's why I want you to get the guide. It'll give you a clear roadmap you can start using today, the moment you finish watching. So here's your action plan. 1. Smash the like button. 2. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Do those 3 things and you'll be way ahead of the competition. And in the next chapter, I'm going to give you something even more valuable, a look into the tests women throw at men once they start feeling attraction. Because the truth is, attraction is just the beginning. Keeping it alive is the real challenge.